Hello, in today's class, we are going to take the section B of the essay paper of your mains 2025 UPSC. Okay, in the last class, we had discussed that almost all the 8 essay are talking about patience, perseverance, wisdom, right? And I had also told you in the essay strategy that whenever you are addressing any essay, you need to supplement or substantiate it with the examples from various dimensions. So first, sociological dimension, right? Second, political dimension. Third, economical dimension. Fourth, environmental dimension, right? Fifth, ethical dimension. Sixth, technological dimension. Seventh, psychological dimension. Eighth, rural urban divide dimension. Ninth, gender dimension, right? So essay can be represented in multiple dimensions with example from national and international perspective to substantiate. Is it clear? Let's very quickly see the section B over here. It talks that muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. गंदे पानी को अकेले छोड़ देने से ही उसे सबसे अच्छा साफ किया जा सकता है. Now, what is it depicting? It is depicting that if you are able to do that, then you are a person of lot of patience and perseverance. Okay, this has been reflected in Taoist wisdom, which tells that it is not only that the water has to settle naturally. These kind of scenarios you notice in society, human mind, and even politics. Whenever such conflicts are happening, the requirement is to stay calm. Okay, now another thing over here is that in such a scenarios, interference into any conflict must be avoided. क्योंकि अगर पानी में मिट्टी है and if you don't let it still down, if you try to disturb it, it's going to mix more. Okay, so understand that it's talking about patience, resistance, and non-actions. Sometimes कुछ नहीं करना सबसे अच्छा solution होता है, right? To do nothing is the best thing to do, right? This has been specifically mentioned in the philosophy of Wu Wei of Taoism, which talks that to do nothing is wiser than a forceful intervention in any particular area. Okay. Also, let's see over here that Wu Wei again talks about the effortless action. In fact, the Stoics have also mentioned that the turmoil, the inner turmoil, can only be calmed by the stillness from within. Buddhism has mentioned meditation to get more clarity, right? Again, it was in Mahatma Gandhi's political philosophy which emphasized on patience and moral authority against the violent appeal that we have seen this idea, and because of this the truth eventually prevailed. Is it clear? सुकून की कोई कीमत नहीं होती. Application of this is seen in mental life. If somebody is arguing with you, somebody is misbehaving with you, somebody is giving you sarcastic comments, let it be. Let the muddy waters settle down. You don't have to always fight back. To do nothing, woo-wee, effortless action is the best thing, right? That's what it is talking about. Stepping back, meditation, silence, and reflection on your inner self is more important. Okay. Apart from this, let's very quickly see, we have discussed Indian freedom struggle, like what happened during the Chora Chari movement, that Mahatma Gandhi, he took back the non-cooperation movement. Why? Because he needed time to reflect upon this whole idea, how we are going to attain the freedom. That when he had given a policy of non-violence, then why did citizens involved at that time into burning down of the police station in Gorakhpur? Okay. Apart from this, many a times we have seen that Supreme Court starts giving judgment along with the National Green Tribunal. It steps from its judicial reach to overreach and judicial activism. So judiciary also should stay back and practice judicial restraint. Let the matters be sought out by themselves. Don't try to poke the nose everywhere. Okay. Also, what happened, if you remember, during the Cold War time, America, USA had to just wait and let the muddy waters of USSR settle down. By 1991, USSR disintegrated itself. Okay, why? Because of its internal economic policy of glasnost and perestroika. Is it clear? Another example, Nelson Mandela, he waited for 27 years in jail. Okay, and when he came out with a lot of patience, he brought Truth and Reconciliation Commission, okay, which led to spread of democracy and further education in South Africa. Okay, so what happened with his patience? He let the muddy water clear down. Okay, whatever apathy movement was there, he tried to forgive and build the nation. Is it clear? In fact, we see it in example of Japan also after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We see that Japan accepted the reconstruction patiently, okay, and it moved towards a path of economic prosperity, leaving behind the muddy waters of war destruction. Okay, another contemporary examples you can pick up here. Okay, repeated cycles of retaliation in Israel Hamas or Israel Iran, they show the danger of immediate violent response. Okay, so true clarity may only come through restraint and long term dialogue among all the members, okay, among nations. Apart from this, we have seen that climate negotiation has been going on and on. So there is a dispute between developing and developed nations. Each are blaming each other for the uh, carbon footprints created, right? So in this context, you can mention that quick fix measures, they often fail. In fact, dialogue, discussions, and strategy shows more clarity into the decision making. Apart from this, you can also mention over here that why leaving the water alone works. Because first of all, it gives you time for self-correction, right? Natural self-correction. It builds a lot of wisdom in you. Third, it prevents the escalation of any conflict that had happened during that point of time. Now, I have already discussed that in the essay, there has to be a thesis, okay, on which you are writing. Out of 1,200 words, this has to be the major part of your answer. But the essay has also to be supplemented by the entire thesis, and this can, you can write it between 100 to 200 words, not more. Okay, so you can say here that injustice requires action, right? Sometimes if you are leaving the water muddy waters alone, for example, agar colonialism and slavery ka issue tha, if steps had not been taken, if Abraham Lincoln had not fought or abolished slavery in US, would it be possible that it would have gone away by itself? No, right? So sometimes actions are required. Waiting too long may worsen the situation because climate emergency issue. Okay, even leaders cannot remain silent. They have to have a timely intervention because they have an ethical responsibility towards the people. So the statement is not about absolute passivity. Rather, it is choosing restraint when haste causes harm. Is it clear? So it is like the problems which are coming up in everyday life, you need certain time for them to settle down. Okay, and other problems, they require action. The key over here is wisdom, when to act and when to not act, and when to wait for the waters to settle down, like US had waited in case of disintegration of USSR. Okay. Conclusion, it's talking about patience, restraint, clarity, faith in the natural process, and development of wisdom. That's what I'm saying you. This time, all the essays are almost talking about wisdom. Even Bhagavad Gita has said that yoga is skill in action, and skill sometimes means knowing when you have to act and when you have to let go. For while you will be preparing, there will be relatives who will be criticizing in front of you, your cousins also at your back also. But it is you who have to remember that do you have to go into that muddy waters and lose your mental peace? No, the best action or the best solution to it is not to act anything and just wait for your right time till you get selected. Okay, so let's see the next topic. The years teach much which the days never know. वर्ष बहुत कुछ सिखाते हैं जो दिन नहीं सिखा सकते हैं. And here the years means wisdom, okay, and the days means knowledge. Each day you are learning something, you are gaining acquired knowledge, right? And this accumulation of whole knowledge converts into the lived experience of wisdom only when it turns into years, right? So Ralph Waldo Emerson, and we have seen this time UPSC has picked up a lot of quotes by him. He says that wisdom is not gained in haste, but it unfolds gradually throughout the time. And we also see this unfolding, the person who is becoming, the being who is becoming, the unfolding of the human values or the human potential is seen in years. Okay. So you can say here that the years, they integrate the scattered experiences into patterns of meaning that single days cannot provide. Okay. Even Aristotle, he has argued that wisdom or years of experience, it comes through the lived experience, okay, and not from the theoretical knowledge alone. And even Nietzsche has said to live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Okay. Now, also, Confucius has mentioned that wisdom ripens with age. I hope this is clear. Now, why years teach more than days? Because perspective development, time allows reflection and introspection. Okay. You see multiple patterns, connections, and consequences. And years of hardship teaches you resilience over here. Now, it was years of hard work that we got freedom after Indian struggle of independence. Also, it was an emergency scenario after the years of experience that citizens learned the bitter lesson and constitutional safeguards and judicial independence was upheld. Okay. The triumph of one day of Chandrayaan 3 was built on years of hard work of Chandrayaan 2 and prior missions. Okay, another example you can take here that I have discussed in the last class about Rosa Parks. She refused to give her seat to the white men. This was just one act, okay? But it was years of activism of Martin Luther King Jr. that actually created the structural change in the society, okay? Also, you can take another example over here. It's years of negotiations that are teaching the nations that the shortest pledges matter little without sustained long-term commitments. Also, if you see over here, that days of invasion had shocked the world when Ukraine-Russia issues happened, okay? But all these prolonged conflict, this is leading to refugee crisis and other scenarios. So this is teaching Europe about the geopolitics, the resilience, okay? Now, further, you can also mention over here that knowledge is acquired daily, but wisdom is cultivated over the years. Okay? A person, a student who is answer writing or who is just joining, he may have knowledge, but an aspirant who has written mains before, at least once, has that wisdom to know how to attempt the questions because he has been in that stage of handling the pressure. Also, please also correlate this while you must be writing your GS papers 1, 2, 3, 4. You will notice one thing कि 3 महीना पहले की पढ़ाई काम नहीं आती है. It's years of your accumulated knowledge which you have gone through will be reflected in your answers. You will every time be writing that. Okay. So the counter perspective over here is that days too can teach great lessons. What happened during the Hiroshima and Nagasaki? That everyone recognized that nuclear weapons are harmful for the whole world, right? But understand that the days may awaken. It takes years to mature. Okay, so way forward over here is that you need to have a long-term perspective, patience, institutional memories, okay, and global challenges. These are not fixed in one day. Rather, it takes years of negotiations and dialogues. So understand that the topic over here depicts that wisdom only ripens with time. You can't be a wise person in one day, right? Okay, this was one of the best essay which I found in the whole paper. It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination, and which immediately reminded me of the very old movie Anand, where Rajesh Khanna talks to Amitabh Bachchan and he says that Babu Mashai, zindagi bahut बड़ी होनी चाहिए, लंबी नहीं, right? So he is talking about this moment, living in this moment rather than craving for the destination. The time we all as earthly being we are carrying, we all are always rushing ki itna ghar chahiye, itna bank balance chahiye, itna gaadi chahiye, but in the whole process we forget to live the life which is required, right? If you study the existential philosophers, they are talking about the quality of life or the lived experience you have, right? It is the humans basically who are giving meaning to the journey of life. So now again, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he says that there is growth, learning and experience in the whole journey, in the whole becoming process. It's not about reaching the end, rather it is about the being who is becoming, right? It is about to embrace the present moment and continuous changing and the evolving self. So this is the crux of the essay over here. In fact, last year there was a question, you cannot step into the same river twice. Life is a constant flux. Heraclitus has said that. And it's a flowing journey, not a fixed end. In fact, in Buddhism also, he teaches that enlightenment is just a final goal, but the whole part over here is journey of mindfulness and practice. Okay, now a very beautiful word I came across, amor fati. This was, or fati, this was given by Nietzsche, and he talks about the love of fate. Whatever is happening in your life, let it happen, let the faith unfold whatever is happening instead of chasing the end purpose kya hoga, right? Just go through and cherish through each and every moment which is happening. Jaise Indian freedom struggle mein we went through a long process, right? We saw the process of satyagrah movements and sacrifices of multiple leaders, right? Democracy was not that India got independence 1950 and democracy came on the same day. Democracy itself has been evolving, right? It is a concept of living tree. Abhi recently, what have we seen? In Article 21, right to life, there was addition of right to privacy in Puttaswamy case, right? So it's an evolving process, and the beauty is lying in the journey of the evolution. Okay, now understand also, when we are talking about women's empowerment, we have seen that suffrage movement, it started, and by this time 1947 women were given right to vote. But recently again, now this is a whole journey of women empowerment, that Nari Shakti Vandana Adhiniyam, which is giving 33% reservation in the parliament, reservation for seats in the parliament to the women, right? It's an ongoing process. Also you see again sustainable development goals, which is based on the justice equity concept. They are not the fixed point, rather each time it's a journey of development. Similar examples I have picked it up, that global south assertion, it is not a destination for India or any nations over here, rather its whole journey of democratizing the global governance. Okay, now you see in all the essays I have almost picked up very similar examples to show you that each essay has a lot of connectivity, and it is based on the concept of patience, wisdom, perseverance. This is what examiner is going to check in your essay. Now, personal dimension of life as a journey, that learning does not end with graduation, it is lifelong. A single setback is not final, and each time experience contributes to it. And bonds, they also evolve through time. Criticism, as I've already mentioned, that you have to write down entire thesis of every topic, right? Criticism is there. If you have a destination focused living, then it will create pressure and anxiety, lead to disillusionment, and also it will ignore the journey which you're going through. Understand, once you will be selected and you reach Labasna, you will be like, what next? Happened with a lot of friends, because the struggle, the whole journey and whole hard work and hardship and perseverance, the anxiety, fear and excitement which the aspirants go through, that will turn you into a very different human, right? That journey is something you are going to remember for a very long time, not the end goal. Because once a human, this is a human tendency of chasing the goals. Once you reach one goal, you are always thinking, acha, ye to ho gaya, what next? Right? So, over here it is mentioning that although selection lena zaruri hai, lavasana pahunchna zaruri hai, the destination are important, they give you direction, okay, but they are not ultimate. They are just the waypoints in the larger unfolding, right? The aspirant who is becoming a civil servant, this is just one way. There are many ways because it is about the human potentiality transforming into his actuality, right? The being is becoming. Now, this whole journey may not only be through one destination, right? Or it can be seen as a way forward, but you can't stick to that, right? Now, understand that it captures the timeless truth that wisdom, joy, and fulfillment lie not in the final end, but in the continuous growing. Even Hegel, I think there must be an example here. Hegel has mentioned that history is unfolding itself. He has talked this regarding the occurrence of the events in history, right? It is not the end purpose, rather, it is the ongoing unfolding of history. So, the life's meaning is not reaching the destination, but in walking the path with awareness, mindfulness, courage, and compassion. Right? Example, you can give a lot of beautiful examples here. That Malala Yousafzai, okay, it was not that her destination that she had uh, to reach some United Nations. It was her courage and moral conviction that her journey of women empowerment had to be stronger. That's why she fought against the Talibanis, right? So understand it's about the whole part of becoming of a human. अभी सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा उसके बाद everybody will be like what is the next purpose of life. You will start finding another things, another activities to do. Some people will talk about the material gains, some people will take foreign trips, something will always be there, right? It's a rat race everybody is going, but the whole journey that you will go through, even if you remember when you go through mountains, right? If anybody is into trekking, you will see once you reach the trek, once you reach the final destination, there is there is a sense of fulfillment, but there is no joy left. The whole joy is when 4, 5, 7 days you are going through that valley and the passages, right? Each time you are learning the new environment, you are getting interacted with that new environment. कि आज तो नदी के बगल में सोए, मजा आया. Next day जंगल में सोए, oh मजा आया. Next day glacier में सोए, मजा आया, right? But once you reach the spot point in the end, right? And once you have reached the end destination, then the whole excitement goes away. So the whole process over here or the growth is about the journey of the human. Is it clear? Now the last essay, let's quickly do this also. Contentment is natural wealth and luxury is artificial poverty. Contentment means, again, wisdom. Contentment means freedom. And luxury is slavery, right? Contentment, संतोष या सुकून से बड़ी जिंदगी में कोई चीज नहीं होती. And how do you have this संतोष? When you are free from the thoughts of the rat race, right? When you yourself have accumulated that much of wisdom ki this is what I want in my life. Example, we will see in minimalistic view of life. And luxury, we see that countries are using XUV and all these vehicles, which is leading to a lot of carbon footprints. That is not a luxury. Basically, it's leading to environmental poverty, okay, which is again degrading, right? So understand over here that Socrates has mentioned that he who is not content with what he has would not be content with what he would like to have. Content lies in self-sufficiency, in the inner peace, and this is bringing the true richness. While luxury, it leads to dissatisfaction and dependency, okay? So in this consumerist, globalized world, what is happening? We see that the sharp between the self sufficiency कि मुझे इतना ही चाहिए जितनी मुझे जरूरत है, right, versus कि ये भी बटोर के रख लो, जरूरत नहीं है, घर में 2 XUV पड़ी है, but again more because that brand, I need that brand conscious, right? A lot of people do that. Luxury, that's sharper. So it is talking about frugality, right? Ethics में हम एक term पढ़ते हैं, minimalistic approach towards the life. Now understand that Stoics believe that true wealth lies in mastering your desires, not multiplying them. Now this essay is also trying to check how non-corruptible person you are, right? Because once you become a civil servant, you get a lot of power, right? So how self-content you are as a civil servant with your duty, that is more important. Are you that real person? This paper is checking with that concept. Okay, in fact Mahatma Gandhi has said that earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not for greed. Okay, now understand that contentment is a natural wealth because it leads to inner freedom, sustainable living, and mental peace. Dalai Lama has mentioned that when you are content to be simply yourself, you will be happy. Because in today's world, in today's competing world, everybody wants ki, I also want an iPhone, right? I also want a Louis Vuitton bag. I also want to have Mercedes. But क्या आपको उतनी जरूरत है? Do you require that much? Or in a basic courteous way, you can live a minimalistic life, right? So everybody is running after luxury. Will after buying all that is going to give you self-satisfaction? No. Self-satisfaction or inner peace, these are the real luxury. Okay. Example we have seen in Mahatma Gandhi's simplicity. Vinoba Bhave's Bhudan moment where he said कि excess of land लेके क्या करेंगे? Let's distribute it, and this will lead to social harmony. Okay. Another example we can pick up Bhutan's gross national happiness. Okay. So here we have seen that contentment lies in sustainable development. They, although may not be excessively developed or rich nation, but they are breathing good air, they are having good water, they are the citizens are lying staying within the mountains, right? So they are valuing the environment. The contentment is coming from the minimalistic way of life again, which is leading to holistic happiness of the citizens. Okay. Now understand how luxury is artificial poverty. It leads to instability, inequality, moral bankruptcy, and ecological harms. Examples we have seen in Ambani case, lavish weddings of luxury, consumerism. Okay, we also see that in urban-rural divide, there is a tech-driven luxury in urban areas in contrast to rural distress. Okay, another example which we have seen over here, that 2008 financial crisis, it was triggered by the greed and luxurious lifestyle. Okay, I think let's quickly wind this up. Climate emergency. Okay, excessive luxurious lifestyles, it has disproportionately contributed to the carbon emission, right? Try to bring as many as dimensions in your essay. Okay, don't go, some people start writing with some historical example and वो सारा India struggle freedom के सारे examples line से दे देंगे, ईश्वर चंद विद्यासागर, then Raja Ram Mohan Roy, then Mahatma Gandhi, then Jyotiba Rao Phule, then Dr. Ambedkar. Do not do that in your essay. Okay, substantiate करना है examples से, but pick one from world history, one from here, then environmental dimension, right? Scientific dimension. Try to add those examples. So contentment here means freedom, you're mastering your desire. Okay, and luxury here means dependency. Now, some do argue that luxury can also lead to employment. It is not a very negative point over here. This will be your entire thesis of the essay, which you can write again in 100 words. But again, you have to mention that way forward, that instead there is promotion of minimalism, there is responsible consumption, there is policy focused global cooperation when there is contentment in human desires. Is it clear? So true wealth lies not in external position, but in inner self-sufficiency. Okay, it empowers the individual and societies with peace, balance, and sustainability. So I hope the basic idea of the essay is very clear with you. Please like, share, and subscribe. It will motivate me to bring more such videos for you for free. Thank you.